Hi there, everybody. I am Sapna Mahadevan, your host for this evening out here. And as always, I welcome all of my beautiful members to this PSTV Live. Thanks a lot for joining in here and taking that very first step towards self learning, right? Now, these days we are looking at the stand-up comedy vertical, and let me tell you, we are going to continue with yesterday's episode where we introduced the topical comedy segment. Yes, so if you have not seen yesterday's video, then please do go out and check the video in YouTube. You will have a better understanding of what topical comedy is all about. And today, in continuation to yesterday's episode, we are again going to bring a different scenario and a different example to take you through this type of comedy in greater detail, right? So, I have all of my lovely viewers here saying hello to me. Hi there, Fact Guru. Hi there, Prisha. We have Arv join us here, and Creative Corner. All of you, thanks a lot for joining, and let's have an interactive here going in the chat box, and let's be as participative as ever. Yes. So with that, let me start today's episode. What we are going to explore is stand out at stand up comedy, explore yourself at a comic level. Yes, and as always, we have a lot of elements or segments that we have curated specially for our viewers. Let me take you through the plethora of activities that we have planned up in today's episode. We are going to give you the definition of what stand up comedy is all about. We are also going to talk about the subtopic, which is topical comedy. So again, today I'm going to give you an understanding of what topical comedy means and how you can incite humor by actually talking about current affairs and whatever is the news at the moment, right? So we are also going to delve deeper into the four essentials that can make or break a stand-up comedian's performance. After that essential part, we will be also looking into how we can be writing a comedy set all by ourselves, looking into all the fun parts that we can involve in it, right? And yes, with all of these segments that I just now spoke to you about, there are a lot of fun segments as well. And all of the fun segments, let me tell you, are aimed at giving you some sort of information, some sort of knowledge that you can take back from these episodes, right? So, to name a few, we have identified the comedian, some icebreaker questions, which really is going to make you creative, and you are going to ponder on all of those questions there. Then there is decipher the EDM. There are synonymic words which help you in amplifying your vocabulary. And also, finally, we would have a look at the roundup of all the things that we learned in today's episode. And that's about it. So, a wealth of information that you can get from today's episode on how you can be writing your own comedy set and also performing that with a lot of confidence and charisma, right? So, let me now move ahead here. Rita Singh says hi. Hello there, Rita. Okay, and let's move ahead to our next segment. The first one that we have for today: name these famous movie or cartoon characters. And I'm sure you're going to name them correctly because these are some very popular characters that we have. And we have all loved seeing them in movies or cartoons, right? So here is the first picture for the day. And guess who that character is? Quickly in the chat box, if you can give me the name of this character here. Okay, A lot of hellos there, a lot of emojis coming up here in the chat box. Thanks again for all of those comments. And yes, that's Kathy Mitchell. Yes, let me show you the answer here. There it is. The first character that we had for the day. Rita Singh, thanks a lot for that like. And moving ahead to the second one, again, another beloved character. I don't want to give out that name there, so maybe you can quickly tell me who that character is and probably where have you seen them. Okay. Yes, that is right. It is from the film Monsters. And what was that popularly known as? This there is a lot of fandom as well for this particular character here. That is perfect. It is, of course, Sully and from the movie Monsters. And let me tell you, James P. Sullivan is the name, right? So, popularly known as Sully. And you've all guessed that correctly. Thanks a lot for all of those answers there. Nisha, brilliant. And let me move ahead quickly to the next one, the last one for today's Guess the Character. And this again, a popular character from that movie there that we all loved watching, right? It was just so very witty how the child could prank all of those gangsters, yes. And what was the name of the character, if you can recollect? That is correct again. That Varun tells me it was from Home Alone. Yes. And there we got the answer there, Kevin McAllister. Yes. So that is again the famous character from Home Alone movie. And we have all loved watching the movie, isn't it? Great. Total fun. Yes, of course. So these were the three characters that we cherry picked for today's episode. We had Sully and we had Kevin McAllister and also Katie, right? So now let's move ahead. Interesting is the comment that I get there. Lovely. Let's move ahead to our next segment. What is stand-up comedy, right? So let me again tell you that stand-up comedy is when a comedian performs in front of a live audience, and what they are wanting to do there is to make the public laugh their head off. Yes. So there are jokes and punchlines and one-liners, and all of them said in such a witty way. The delivery is just correct with the timing, right? And when all of that put together, it comes in, it is done successfully, then the audience really is in stitches, and that is when it is called a stand-up comedy performance. And let me tell you, the person performing is called the comic, the stand-up, or maybe the comedian, right? And every stand-up comedy show, on an average, it gets 4 to 6 laughs a minute from the audience. Yes. So you will definitely, this is one performance, let me tell you, that the performer will definitely come to know how they are faring. Yes. Because the applause here is really instant. If people laugh, then you know that your joke landed well, right? So it is a tough nut to crack, but of course, with a lot of practice and with a lot of practice in how you can deliver those jokes and working on your timing as well, you can definitely ace your humorous side. So being funny is one of the requirements, but again, a lot of practice goes into this as well, right? So that's what stand-up comedy is all about. And let me tell you what the subtopic of the day is. So again, there is a little glitch here. I do not have the slide come up here for the subtopic of the day, but let me tell you that it is topical comedy. We already saw what topical comedy was yesterday. We gave you an introduction of that, right? So let me tell you, whenever the joke that you are trying to make, or the humor that you're trying to incite, when that relies on current events, or maybe from any field, politics or news or pop culture. And it is satirical, subtle, and witty. Often, sometimes it is hard hitting as well, right? So all of these types of jokes come under the topical humor segment. Yes. So whenever your joke is based on a current event, on a particular news event, or a particular current affair topic, maybe, then you can call that joke to be of a topical humor subtype. Yes. So, yesterday I gave you an example of how quarantine and COVID 19 jokes can be categorized into this particular bucket of topical humor, because that's what they are, right? The world is currently facing this. Scary pandemic, and we're all always talking about coronavirus and the different protocols and what are the regulations that we need to follow. Yes. So when we joke about all of these situations, it will form or it will come under the topical humor segment. And just one joke that I can recollect from the quarantine, and from maybe all the lockdowns that we had, was that once school starts, we will definitely come to know who gave themselves a haircut, right? So that was one joke that really did the rounds. Yes, when everything was locked down, we didn't have any facilities, and every household was taking care of their own needs, right? So this was one joke that really landed well, because it was really relatable, isn't it? So that's what topical humor is all about. That's the subtopic of the day. And today, let me take you through another interesting example that we have. Yes, here it is. Topical comedy, absurd movies hitting the box office, right? So let me take you through one of the movies here. We are talking about absurd movie that can make you laugh, and these are so simple that they require only creativity, a bit of creativity from your side. And the story does not focus on the characters, but on some comic situations that the characters encounter, and people actually falling for these absurdities, right? So that's what is the scenario for the day. And before I move ahead, I'm going to take you through another icebreaker question. The question is, what is your favorite drink? Yes. So quickly in the chat box, name your favorite drink and let me know which is the drink that you love to have. And for me, it's going to be fruit juice, maybe, or a mojito. Yes. That's what I would love to have. And what's your favorite drink? Okay, I get soda there in the chat box. Cola as well, lovely. Cola and soda. Okay. Fruit punch. Wow, colorful, isn't it? Great. So I'm getting cola again here. I think that's one of the popular drinks that we have, isn't it? Okay, so lovely. Thanks again for all of the answers here. And with that, let me move ahead to the next segment. Let me tell you that it is about establishing the essentials. Yes. So here it is. We are having four definite elements that we are going to really understand for writing any stand up comedy set. So the four elements that we have are right there on the screen. We have the opening and the bits, transitions, and the closer, right? So these are the four definite elements, and let's delve deeper into each one of them and have a better understanding of what all that means. So the first element that we have here is the opening, right? So what we can understand from this first element is that it is the introductory uh, line, or possibly the introductory set that the comedian opens his act with, right? So when they go to that stage, and what they start their comedy routine with is what is the opening segment of their stand-up routine, right? So often the opening is the one segment that dictates how the show will go. And just like I've given you this example a lot many times, just like when you pick up a book, the first few pages itself determine whether you're going to like the book or not, right? So that's the same way with a movie or with a stand-up act as well. In the initial few moments, you get to know whether that particular comedian is going to hold your interest or not, right? So that's what is the opening or the introductory set. And you need to always start with a great joke to get the audience laughing from the first line itself. So make an impression from the first itself. The first impression is the last impression. You would have all heard the saying, isn't it? So that's how the opening line makes or breaks the performance, right? Now, let me take you through one scenario here, one example. So we have all watched all sorts of Bollywood and South Indian comedy movies as well. So now recall watching Chennai Express, right? So here in this movie, Shah Rukh Khan dancing in the middle of all the goons there, making faces at them, and he definitely finds his way out with Mini Amma as well, right? So how absurd is that? You will really understand from this movie that how the hero there made us all laugh, isn't it? With all of his antics, he was there in the middle of a serious situation, but still he made us laugh. Yes, there was no logic to whatever he was doing, but that's how the opening had so much effect, isn't it? So this movie here, Chennai Express, is what we are going to have as an example for today's episode. And now that we have an understanding of how the opening works, let's look at what is the second definite element, right? So next we have bits. And let me tell you that bits are nothing but small jokes that the comedian has in all of his comedy routine, right? And every bit has a setup which details the characters, the situations, and they also have a punchline or maybe a one liner which really makes the audience laugh, right? So the conclusion again is one of the part of that small joke that is placed in the comedy routine. And every comedy routine will have small jokes or bits that are placed in them, and they in themselves will be a total package, right? So the conclusion or the closure is going to be the funniest part of the joke, and almost always it goes against what the audience expects, and that's why it gets the most laughs, right? So the audience is taken by surprise when something that they are not expecting actually is happening in front of them, right? So this is what bits are. And now with our example, let us understand that both the characters here in the movie, if you recall that scene, they were interacting while singing songs and while standing on the stage. What you can do as a stand-up comedian is you can try enacting the same. Yes, so you can sing a similar song to one of your audiences and try to interact with the audience. And take it from me, the audience is definitely going to be rolling in laughter when they hear you sing. And again, a little bit of creativity is what you require. You can maybe sing in unrhythmic tone, and that again is going to bring in the laughter, right? So talk with your audience, have a connect with them, interact with them, and that's what will do the trick. Yes, so these are the examples for the bits that you have, that you can have in your comedy set. And now let me also tell you that as an example, you can try rephrasing and singing the song, the popular song A Thousand Years from the movie Twilight. Yes, now if you parody that song, yes, and if you change the lyrics to I have died every day waiting for you to laugh, dear, don't be afraid to show your teeth, for I will make you laugh for 1,000 years. I'll make you laugh for 1,000 years. Now if you parody this, the song was of course it had a different lyrics, right? But if you parody that song and choose to have this lyrics fit into that song, then it's definitely going to have your audience rolling with laughter, right? So these are some small creative bits that you can be having in your stand up routine there, right? And after this, the second element, now the third element that we have here is all about transitioning from one joke to another, right? So definitely this is again a skill that you need to develop, right? So transitions are really short conversational bridges that connect one joke to the other. And now in the example that we are exploring for today, let us see how we can be transitioning. Yes, now you sang a song to your audience which was a parody on thousand years song from the Twilight Saga movie. Yes. Now, imagine that you have a very shrill voice, or you're not actually singing to the tune, and then you catch the audience laughing, isn't it? So stop right there, smile in, or you maybe give a smirk, smile in a cunning way, and then you can talk to them and you can interact with them. You can tell them that this was the ninja technique to make them laugh, and maybe you can get all flattery with them. Again, try and get serious once they are in that flattery mode, right? So catch them off guard. Start inquiring to the person who you had interacted initially. You can maybe tell them that if someone looks at you and sings, then you'll start laughing, right? So this, all of this interaction with the audience, all of those facial expressions, and the way that you change your voice to sing that song, all of that is going to incite the humor that we are wanting, right? So this is the transition, how you connect one joke to the other, and give a bridge between all of those jokes, right? So that is the third essential element, and let me tell you, it is a crucial aspect to a stand-up comedy routine, because all single jokes placed here and there is definitely not going to weave the magic, right? So you need to connect all of them together, and that is a skill that has to be developed. Right now, after this third important element here, let me now take you through the fourth element, which is the closer, right? So in everything that we see, even in stories, in movies, we definitely need to have a conclusion, right? Similarly, in a stand-up comedy set, after all of these three elements, you need to have a solid closure. This is the final joke in the show, and you can always have a callback here. That means a reference to an earlier joke, and try to weave your magic there by again connecting the dots from your final solid joke to the initial joke that you started off with. Yes. So this is again a trick that the comedians have in their kitty. And let me give you an example here. Like, we were seeing the Chennai Express movie scene, right? Now, express your grief in a comic way about how people spend so much just to watch Shah Rukh Khan in all of his antics and actions, and maybe all the absurd logic that you can talk about from that movie there, people flying at his punches and then falling on the ground. Ask the very person whom you interacted with, pick that person up and ask them how, whom will they dedicate the song to, maybe, right? So these are all personal narratives that you can have while you're performing your act, and the audience really loves when you interact with them, have a conversation. Yes. So maybe you can try all of these different techniques as well, and basically again give a reference back to all of the absurd logic that the movie has, right? So this is how you can have a solid closure to your comedy set, and that was one example that we brought out to our audiences here, so that you have an understanding of how topical comedy works, right? I have a lot of comments here in the chat box with emojis and thumbs up, so I know that my audience here has a basic understanding of what topical comedy is all about, right? So these days internet comes to our rescue in everything that we do, right? So maybe you can go ahead and Google some of the creative stand-up comedy performances in topical comedy, and you will have more information about how this can be done, right? So this was about establishing the essentials, and let me now take you through the first synonymous word for today, which is goons, right? So goons would have similar word meanings: criminal, hooligan, or gangster, right? Now, you might want to write down all of these words, jot it down in one place so that it forms a ready reckoner, and you can always use these words wherever appropriate, right? So the synonym words for goons would be criminal, hooligan, and gangster. Yes. Now, gangster it is. Ruchi, thanks a lot for that. And let's move ahead to our next segment, which is quiz time, right? I know you're all waiting here interestingly with for the quiz time, and here is the first question that we have. What does the internet prefix www stand for? Okay, so this is something that we are using in our everyday lives. We're always typing in some or the other address in the address bar, right? So What does WWW stand for? Easy question, simple answer. Quickly in the chat box. Um, that is correct, of course. Varun gives me the correct answer here. Yug, that is right. Okay, lovely. That is, of course, World Wide Web. Yes, that's right. And let's move ahead to the next one. How much of the Earth's surface is covered by the ocean or by water? Okay, 70% is what Richa tells me here. So there is a slight deviation. Let me tell you, it is 71%. Okay, lovely. Thanks for that attempt, though. And let's move ahead to the next segment, expert tips on establishing the essentials. First expert tip that we have for you here is that you can always start by looking in the mirror, right? So start by looking at your fails and your firsts. The first time you did something wrong, yes, you can think about one embarrassing moment maybe, or the first time that you had got it all wrong, yes. And maybe you can talk about this as well in your stand-up comedy performance, because audiences, they love the humility and the openness, right? So that's the first expert tip. And the second expert tip that we have here is, in a world where everything, everything is photoshopped, there are funny images, there are memes and gifs, all of that dominate our devices. Visual humor has never gotten bigger, right? So don't just say funny things, but you can also present funny things to your audiences, maybe in the form of a presentation, right? So that's one expert tip that you will, it will do you good if you follow it, right? And now let's move ahead to the Decipher, the EDM segment. And the first EDM for the day is to laugh in someone's face. Now, what that means is to laugh directly in someone's face as a way to show ridicule or to mock them because of what they said or did, right? Now, that's the meaning of the EDM. Let me again tell my audiences here, EDM is a phrase which has a hidden meaning. It is not to be taken literally, right? And for this EDM that we have here, let me give you an example sentence. To laugh in someone's face can be used in this particular sentence, where it says, after he heard my side of the story, he just laughed in my face. How rude, right? So that's how this EDM can be used in an example sentence. And now let's move ahead to our next segment, which is frame the fun part, right? So, three important elements in framing the fun part for your stand up comedy. Let me show you all the three fun elements. The first one is the characters, and then we have the situation and the setting. So how can we be using all of this to our advantage, right? So the characters in your stand up comedy routine could be people who have a comic sense about themselves, or the characters are themselves funny, so you do not have to work much, right? Bring in some characters who are laughing elements for your comedy set. And for example, in the Chennai Express movie, our heroine there was really all dressed up, making angry faces, singing songs, and the language that she spoke, the local Hindi language, was with a particular dialect. The pronunciations were really funny, and all of that made us laugh, right? So that's how you can have some characters in your comedy set as well. Or maybe you can have characters like those funny goons in the movie who were always burping and snorting throughout the journey, right? So the characters, again, you can cherry pick and choose your characters really carefully, because they are really going to make your comedy set more and more funnier, right? Now, after that first element there, let's move ahead to the second element, which is the situation or the conflict, right? So you can give a vivid description about the situation. No matter how gray it sounds, you can project it funnily. For example, in the movie there, your content had goons and different singing styles, or maybe not even in the movie, the example where you can imbibe the movie scene in your stand-up comedy performance, right? So there you had a different singing style, there was direct interaction with the audience, and the difficulty that your characters had in dealing with each other due to lingual differences, that also can form a part of the humor. Yes, so bring in absurd situations which will help in inciting the humor. And the third element that we have is the setting, right? So you can choose a setting for your plot. Try avoiding dark places. Remember that you're not writing fiction, and you are actually trying to make people laugh. And the laugh should be such that they are rolling in with laughter, and they are not contained in their seats at all. Yes, so try funnily portraying the scene. For example, the train in the lushes of South India, the action scenes where all sorts of glass bottles and domestic appliances were arranged. Even though the actions were dark, the settings were always bright and colorful, right? So these are all small observations that you can do about a scene, and you can imbibe that in your comedy performance as well, right? So now that we have seen how we can be using the characters, the setting, and the situation to our advantage, let us move ahead to the next Decipher the EDM segment, which has the EDM to laugh something off. Yes. Now, what that would mean is when you deal with a serious problem in a light way, where you try to laugh away at the situation. Yes. So that's what to laugh something off would mean. And the example sentence that we have here is, once Josh found out about the outrageous debt, he told his brother to just laugh it off. Yes, so that means that he took the situation lightly, and he wanted his brother also to just laugh it off. Yes, so that's how we use the EDM to laugh something off. Yes, okay. Now let me also keep checking my comment box here. Um, Manu says that it's really interesting and he's learning a lot. Thanks a lot for that comment there, Manu. And okay, Prisha, let me tell you again, EDMs are phrases which have a hidden meaning. So only if you understand what the meaning is behind that EDM, only then you can understand the context, right? So if I simply say to my friend, um, I know there are exams next week, but I think you should laugh it off. So, what it means is that don't take too much stress. You can take it lightly, yes, but only if you understand the EDM laugh it off, then only you're going to understand what I said to you, right? So, that's why these EDMs or phrases are really an impressive way of putting across your point or expressing yourself to the audience, right? So, do jot all of these EDMs down. Maybe you can make a journal for it, and try revisiting them. Keep on revising those idioms and look out for the meaning. See how you can be using them in sentences, and it's going to do a world of good to you, right? So this was the second idiom that we had for today, and now I am going to take you through another fun segment. Here it is. Name this famous stand-up comedian. Okay, so we all know who this famous stand-up comedian is. You can maybe name the comedian. You can tell me where and maybe in which movie you have liked watching them or watching him. Okay, let me wait for some answers. There are famous quotes as well from this comedian. That is correct. I am getting all right answers here in the chat box. Really hard to miss. Yes. So, correct. That is, of course, Robin Williams. We have seen him in so many wonderful movies, right? To name a few, Jumanji and Mrs. Doubtfire, right? And Goodwill Hunting, to name just a few movies. We have seen some comedy performances as well, some famous interviews as well, right? So, Robin Williams, it is. And thanks a lot for giving me those answers there in the chat box. And yes, with that, let me move ahead to the next segment. Locate the words is the name of the next segment. I'm going to show you a letter maze here, and quickly you need to give me the different words that you find hidden. So to be precise, there are 4 words hidden in this letter maze. And all of the words are from today's episode. Goon is correct. That's right. And what else? Laugh. That is correct. Yes, goon and laugh. What are two other words remain? Quickly have an eagle's vision and give me the words in the chat box. So I'm getting all repetitive answers. Goon is correct. Laugh is correct. What are the two other words? Let me show you the answer here. So the first one is, of course, goon. Then, yeah, here it is. We have India. Yes. And laugh is the other word. And the fourth word that my audience missed for today is sing, right? So these were the four words in today's episode: goon, sing, India, and laugh, right? With that, we come to the end of our episode for today. I hope you had a lot of learning about the topical comedy humor subtype. And before I end the broadcast, let me again give you a quick roundup. At a Glance is the name of the segment here. And the four definite elements that we learned today were the opening bit, the small jokes that you place in your comedy routine or your comedy set, then how you can transition from one joke to another, yes, and finally, how you can close the joke and have a solid close so that your audiences go back laughing, right? All of these elements here are really crucial. Let me tell you, the opening is of paramount importance because that's what is going to decide whether your performance was a success or not, right? So your opening will decide whether you have done a good act, right? And just like in a storybook, when you come to know in the first few pages itself whether it's going to hold your interest or not, isn't it? Similarly, the first few lines, the introduction that you make about your comedy routine itself will let your public know whether they are interested in your performance or not, right? So focus on the opening and the closer. And of course, all of these four elements are crucial elements, right? So, with that, we also saw how we can be using the characters, the setting, and the situation to our advantage in our comedy set, right? And finally, let me also take you through this project work here. So, yes, implement all the learnings that you have had from today's episode and try your hand at writing a topical humor comedy set, right? Now, I have a comment here. Abid King. Hello there. Thanks for joining the live. But let me tell you, you are late to the live. I do come in every day at 6 p.m. India time. So it is time to wrap up the show. You can definitely go ahead and check out the video in YouTube. And yes, so with that, we come to the end of our episode. For tomorrow, we will have some tips and tricks. And I will see you again at 6 p.m. India time tomorrow. I am Sapna Mahadevan signing out for today. And do take good care of yourselves. Have a fun time and keep laughing. Bye bye.